Ooh. Navigating all of these things, bringing home that bacon. Trey Parker stood alone in a shaft of light, and the sound of 2021 was full of fear and disaster all around, and how their hands trembled, for the fear of extinction was real, and how those who would suppose to be the kings of the world would rain down a false hope, that the fear of extinction wasn't real, that we should be afraid of harassment, oh, spooky kids, oh, false tapped phone. Welcome to Master Source Industries. My name is Hatchpan Heliosphere. Trey Parker. Align the correct intensity now. I am working to rebuild the technology handmade human class, and so I'm speaking directly to your characters. However, this is not a trespass against your personal space. Trey Parker, I need you to go to a place where you have on your thinking cap and your energy is up, and you're saying, hey, maybe this is going to happen, let's go. And I want to tell you guys, things look really very good for our cooperation, our work together. We need to transcend all these things and comprehend that Hatch is sort of he's kind of an exceptional character in America where, he doesn't want to make us get sick. For example, he's not using espionage. And also because of his anatomy in the center of the triangle, it's not, he's actually not able to do certain procedural carbons, for example, some sort of bullshit pro bono, which would be like a distortion on really what happened for Trey Parker was sort of a slow emotional, uh, just the example of the men from the 70s and how, as I'm driving across America, somehow Trey got cold feet. Well, he didn't know how important it really all was. And of course, really stub your toe, and then you have a feeling like, hey, I meant to do that. So then, the voice of 2020, and then, oh, all of a sudden we're censoring an election there. All right, so I need you guys to armor up because this periodic table elements is not available to the vast public because it's part of the gray out zone. It's like, oh, humans are like, oh, when I go close to the things that are relevant to understanding the universe, I pass out. I have so much to talk to you about today, Trey. So armor up. Now, the problem, Trey, it's no coincidence that, Trey, what we're talking about is extremely adult. I do have the solution for the greenhouse effect. I can eliminate the heat wave for 2022. And as that bears reality, this is an additional pressurized system similar to censoring the election, but sort of worse because it involves all the children. Now, in the cleft of 2019, 444 was designed as an E-fleet spring to jettison the celebrity tree into a place of stable stasis. And as Trey and I becoming family was part of a larger perverse idea of pulling it off and like landing the airplane in a storm. So it was super cool. Hatch and Trey in 2019 were the coolest people in the world, but everyone sort of ridiculed it and decayed it, and they're like, "Oh, we don't think that's funny," until they're calling security because they're like, "Oh, Trey sang songs about him, and we all talked about him in the show, and then Trey invited him out after he took out a loan, and then oh no, he's here! Wow, the worst support group ever." But of course, that was 2019 when you guys were full of bullshit. And then 2020 really kicked your ass. Here we are in 2021. All of a sudden, the environmental crisis isn't funny. But what's crazy is that with Trey and Hatch working together in 2019, we were going to become this dynamic duo working on building a South Park amusement park. And Hatch had this other stratosphere about opening up companies, and Trey was really interested in that. The point is, the real genius there, what I'm trying to say is that, yes, while Trey Parker and uh, Randolph Pan, while we were hanging out, we would have solved the environmental crisis together because that was sort of part of the Lotus package of what Earth was talking about. But because of the addiction to being like a petri dish, like, oh, this is too much energy, but it wasn't. It was actually really straight. Or talking about being, related in a capacity that is straight and not sexual at all. So Trey and I were never inappropriately sexual. However, I find Trey to be very exciting as an individual, and also I hope that you can find the resource to understand that I'm exciting too. But it's okay to feel excited. Don't, uh, but I'm here to raise a family, my son, the Vampire King. So reality is literally awakening. The problem is that there's this huge amount of things that the Earth can do for the universe, and that's what's being censored. Because I'm the center of the triangle, I'm not the type of person who can, oh, I fight for money. I'll do whatever you know, I'm willing to, go to court because, no, that's not self. That's not English. That's not my life. I value myself. Oh, he's art as life. He's some sort of strange bohemian. He believes he has power. Okay, well, that power connotes that I don't have the option to levy charges against Trey and I also love Trey, so it's not my bag. But I need you guys to understand that and put me under your wing. Be like, look, Hatch is cool. I know he makes us cry, but he's not really the things that I'm worried about now. How should I explain the more? Trey, I need you to go to that place where we can actually connect. So let's armor up in the way that is profound. Because at 55 Putney Road, all right. What I need you to understand, Trey, is that what I'm sensing with the blue perception, and this is something that's gonna catch you from. I've been looking at like Christmas commercials from the 70s, and then if you compare them to Christmas commercials from the 80s, it's like completely fucking different. So different. Your Saturday morning cartoons for the 70s was like Spider-Man and like weird shit, really weird shit, like you Peter Puffin stuff or whatever. But then the 80s exploded with like really fun cartoons, and that's when Trey was becoming like a teenager. So the expression of South Park, etc. And meanwhile, I was thinking, it really was Eric Cartman who was a character that could get away with being racist, but it was sort of in 2020 that character shifted over into Randy because Randy was perplexed as a character by doing the sort of, oh, we're going to go into weed, so I have to do that. And I think it just caused a train wreck of like a situation because we are facing extinction. We are facing the quake of extinction, and so we're going to leave it to the pandemic to explain that this is an urgent time. That's really annoying. Well, when you remove the voice piece of Randolph Pan, this is what happens. And then you guys are like, well, then that means that Hatch is bad. No, I'm not built the same way as you guys. I'm the center of the triangle, which means that the inflection in how you behave with me radically overhauls your Y chromosome. The problem is that there's an easy crack pipe for blue perception angels, and blue perception angels with the elements preset. Yes. Oh, and that's the huge problem for blue perception, and especially because you're from the. All right, Trey, I'm trying to talk with you. All right, but I have so much to talk to you about today, and I just want to say, like, let's let's armor up so that we can be on the same page about the intensity here for the communication. Uh, what is How many times do you want me to push that button? Damn, there it is. All right. What I'm hoping, you guys, is that you're like, I've seen enough that like I definitely want Hatch to have free voice, and it sounds really good because honestly, setting up a motion capture stage studio is not so. That's not too expensive, and what Hatch is talking about building is this Loop Labs where he has these different departments, and I've also noticed. I think this is the more relevant conversation. Let me just get to this, and then maybe we'll do some like talks about, how we feel, Hatch doesn't know, but when I answer my phone, I can hear little tappy clicks on the phone. Oh, really? Those aren't from the government. That's a terror mark from the Schmaukein of the harassment bank. And I've gone through that too. So, if the government is going to tap your phone, they're not using the ones that you can hear or click on the line. That's something else. So, and Trey might have some other like story about like, oh, blah, 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 blah. you know, it's not going to reach your door, Trey. Same as this floodwaters, because the Earth and I are flat dimensional, and we've got this thing. People want the right things for themselves. There's no willpower enough to cause, the sad story, Trey. All right. Oh, fuck. All right. Look, the sad thing is, Earth was telling me that the pandemic is removing a nuclear war, right? Because there was like there's a huge backup uh, of a identity crisis here on Earth, and it has to do with the squiggly spooch and what happened in the 90s was not appropriate for, you know, the here I am, that's the correct wizard, and here I'm learning about my soul and stuff, and then all of a sudden there's this huge crack pipe just go, like, oh, is that me? And then all of a sudden your lifetime is just like go 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 because the problem is that they're not responding with this. It's a time waster on our side, but on their side, they have a stratosphere of an endpoint. Like, we are determined to complete the universe structure no matter what. If humans are broken, then we will. So the humans are getting to a point where, like, nuclear war? And, like, I was like, no, no, no. So, like, so the Earth is like, I see. Well, we'll go this way. So it's not, so, what I'm trying to say, you guys, is that Trey Parker's not the villain, but he's been victimized, but not by Hatch. It's by inaction and a circle of occult victims of the crack pipe. Right? And you guys are listening to the government, and the government's doing this cheesy thing. We are upright citizens. Oh, but you hurt Trey. No, we didn't. Yeah. I'll get you. All right, sorry, bad note. All right, I do not give you the false Harmageddon, okay? But if Hatch really does represent the solution to the greenhouse effect, and you guys are censoring the next generation because the 444 didn't work out, so we have to go with the children's. So now the children wizards are being extinctified, by people who don't want the solution to CO2 because we're good censorship of the American election. You guys just can't read the past. You can't read the now point. No, we're listening. Oh, really? But listening now means you maintain through the rest of the day. We are going to produce Hatch. We are going to produce Hatch. You need to do that. That's listening. No, we're listening now. And then we talk to our friends. Yeah, I don't really feel like it. Let's give me another year. It's going to be like this is an accelerated bomb. It's a time thing with a burning. It's going to cause accelerated heat. Let me tell you, I'm having a heat wave outside. I hate it. I walk outside. I'm like, holy shit. It's terrifying. So we need urgent production of Hatch to solve the environment and for the hope of the children. And you guys in your old thing from the 70s, you're like, Skip, we don't sense the earth. We are talking to we don't sense us becoming with because you're burnt out expressions and that's so and is Hatch is putting us down. No, you guys did that yourself. It's ridiculous for you guys to think that Hatch doesn't have a winning strategy with his company startup because most of it starts out virtual, which means that everyone can interact and have fun. A huge arena there. And pretty soon I'm opening up into these new shows where we're attacking the CO2 problem. That's pretty much like right there. But the first thing I want to talk about is the Breathe Mask XR. If that takes off, oh my gosh, like the financial is going to be amazing. I'm hoping like Trey Parker, I believe that you are an incredible mind about justice and stuff like that. And I think that you might have even have like a tablet like, well, I owe Hatch like this much money. Like you might already have like a little thing like how I kind of owe him like I don't know. I'm not gonna quote a price because it's ridiculous, but um, if you guys aren't, we need to get going. And to do that, I'm willing to have the circle of Trey and Will investment circle, which means a huge amount. It's like gouging for you guys, which for Trey Parker, he's like, I don't like that. I understand what you're saying. Like that's it. We would make a tremendous amount of money for the startup is a small amount, and it almost gets to a point where Trey's like, I'm almost like would be happy to produce Hatch, like help him get the loan, or get the or we'll just give him okay, but then he has to pay us back like 5 times. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Give me. Oh, that'd be great because then when Hatch does hit those marks where his robot LLC is raking in trillions. Now, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about is like I'm also very intuitive about the progress of my own company. And I've noticed that I've been kind of like, oh yeah, my like as if my robot AI and Super City Development Company LLC, as if it doesn't reach into the trillions, right? And I'm sitting here like, oh, the robot would be like 50 million in London. Well, that's what I really want to work on is appealing to those two. And then when I do, Master Source Industries is designed as a franchise where I can have multiple locations. And then at that time, other countries like France, maybe, or, like really interesting places might be like, we want to have a Master Source Industries because it's kind of like a, a convergence of minds. And then there's also like a TV show. There's a channel that runs through that thing, and some of the people are there, and then they can talk to each other. Like, oh, there's a lot of things we can do, and Hatch is this connectivity and adaptation to it. It's like the sound of the generation of the children of wizards that arrive in the future, and we have to be sort of perfectly Zen balanced to be good to our own son. Because what you're doing is you're standing on the breathing tube of the children to prevent the CO2 solution. And that's bad. And you guys think that I'm the bad person here. You guys know that you can make money from Hatch, but you're like, oh, I have to wait longer. What what needs to be delivered to people is Hatch's performance, and that means August, which is where we are right now. We need to talk about this sort of lucidity where we're like, oh, like the small like. All right, so you know, and sometimes I'm thinking like, just in the first year, I'd like to have a type of, let's get that area down by the lake done. But why did I even mention that when I wasn't mentioning my interest in GNC carving of rocks, GNC carving of wood, GNC carving of aluminum? So actually, and I went too far into talking about concrete windows. And I am interested in that, but it's like with a GNC carver, you really can have rock statues, maybe just not made out of solid marble. I mean, we could have some, but why and where? This is like a whole wonderful thing that happens when Master Source Industry starts to, if we can get, the town involved, which is why I wanted to talk with some people and be like, hey guys, like this sort of lakeside barbecue, and maybe it could become, but also there's this feeling of like when you start, it's just like really complicated when you start roping in like a bunch of different people. It's like, what happens there? Like maybe like I'm not sure, which becomes it's like, oh, is that really the presentation? So I'm like, why have I been doing that? I'm like stepping on my, I'm not even talking lucidly about my company startup, and I don't know why. There's something truncating it, some sort of additional thing that's not Hatch's fault, but oh, we're really sorry, Hatch, but we're in a pickle, and it's a, but if you would produce Hatch, that pickle would melt away because the Earth and I are flat dimensional. That's why the Earth has changed because Trey and I were actually intended by the Ware map. Okay, so the Earth actually had a vision where Randolph Pan and all this other stuff. And imagine if Randolph Pan ran for president on top of being friends with Trey, which was my plan. That would have been amazing. But you guys were like, don't talk to him, call security, make him look like crazy. You guys were talking about my dick on your show, and Trey was singing songs about me and then invited me out. Make him look crazy. Like, whoa. You guys were ballistic insanity, pure evil in 2019. You definitely set off a terrible sequence, and it was a betrayal against Trey. No, Hatch bad, not us. Why do you guys maintain that? Because you haven't learned your lesson. I know that there is hope for Trey Parker to produce Hatch in 55 Putney. I recently updated my code, and when I looked at the Goth Kids Get Served thing, the numbers were all correct. But it was almost like the sort of, what do you think this means kind of thing. But I hope you guys are understanding about the apex planet that Earth has this other thing, and Trey Parker was chosen by the Ware map. It's very particular with that the hair strand, like this goes all the way back to Beavis and Butthead. Like when Trey was some noob and being like, "Oh, Beavis and Butthead, we could do that." You have to blast through these things, all right? And I let's just take a moment and look at my inventions list. I really want to talk to you, Trey, about a bunch of stuff. Oh, Trey, so let's line up our identity thing. Like, give me a quick download about where you're at with my project and stuff. And okay, all right. So we're lined up about the intensity. We want to protect all this good thing. You guys, as soon as you produce Hatch, it's gonna be like manna from heaven. Like what? All of a sudden, inspiration, passion, and Trey. What I'm noticing is Trey is a man of honor, and he's there's like a drip feed where he's like he connects to my green perception wisdom gamut in a way that is sort of like he would only ascribe to some of the worst suggestions that I have, like, oh, change the theme song. And Dre's like, yeah, let's do that, like, because we really listen to Hatch, the green perception wizard. Oh, okay. Oh, so that's important. Green perception is one of the most powerful to time and orientation, and so they are coddled and treated in a different way by the system down and the false epiphany of the junk DNA. Okay, but the blue perception is like this total like be prepared to become like a type of creature that your heaven will be on a type of spaceship soul stone. Okay, as if that's our no, we live here on Earth. When Hatch exploded his bubble up all about just an aspect of his anatomy, which was a scientific proof, which now can't be detected because it's covering the world. But because it's covering the world and not going off to some spaceship, you understand that Earth is the apex planet and much more powerful than that. However, in the 70s, there was the Knights of Christ, the warriors who were designed to actually grant forgiveness and maneuver with the UFO remote government. Uh, I got tangled up with them. I'm not going to talk about that, but I actually had to do. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about them because welcome to the Wizard's Circle. Everyone's being respected here. After the deadlights rose, Earth is defaulted to a resident stance, and only humanity can really solve this thing because of the Venus Mars Orange planet. Essentially, we're on the resident and the right side, that could actually decay if we have a wrong type of encounter. And it wouldn't be like wrong, like they're gonna, destroy our cities and stuff and then repopulate it. But that's what the nuclear war was about, was that some of these groups were going to clear cut mankind for this sort of thing because they sort of have a crush on that whole thing, which they were supposed to in the 70s. But it's sort of evolving in this weird way. And it's not like Hatch is doing this to you. It's that Hatch is actually incarnate from the center of the triangle. And of course, you know, I'm not asking you to have faith, and that's not how it works. It doesn't. I'm not faith-based. I'm more like the science at the end of the tunnel, but it's just a part of the season of the universe. And all the way over here is hatch the heals for eggs when the sun becomes exhausted. But right now, this season is a time in the garden where it's the most hot. It's the most passionate time for garden character. We are the prototypes with the electric promise, which talks about that. Oh, but electric promise has been compromised with junkie. Oh, so people don't quite feel like an angel. And I'm not just here to be like, hey guys, we're angel. And we're like, oh, we know, but it's kind of like, whoa, like there's no urgency for the child. Dang. So, all right, you guys. Um, we want the best thing for the universe. And also, there's other undeniable. It's okay for people to want to deny what I'm saying. I'm not saying, and also, my stuff is not entirely word based. It's not like oh, he's word banking. And that's where his power comes from. Like, that's why we need to censor him. So, Trey, you need to transcend that because some of the government things will be like, could this guy be a bad effect? Our government's like, no, no, free speech. Go ahead. American government is cool. I'm not saying that they're the shades, but uh, they're also they have telltale signs where they're like, oh, you all right, it's fine, it's okay. But it's amazing that the Earth understands the importance of communication. So when you guys are, oh, what there's to do, no. All right, so pay attention. All right, you guys, where are we at? Oh, right. All right, let me just talk about that. So Hatch arrival is basically a perfect circle, causing this mohawk image to become incarnate into this body, human anatomy, which kind of enhances all human anatomy. Resident glow. Oh, and just one species. It's not, but that's why there's this remote government group. But that's 2 degrees of separation. There's something a little janky there, and then all of a sudden the deadlights rose, and it's kind of like, oh wait, maybe Earth is changing its gravity and saying something. We need to listen up. So everyone's being really cool about that. Thank you guys so much. All right, armor up in the way that's right for you because your identity is the solution. And in the future, as we're moving forward, I'm not quite sure which wizard said this, and I guarantee, I promise, the triangle is not yet completed because this is part of the physics that maintains the singularity vortex, which is part of the physics that is actually causing a refusal to invasion. So they have an intuition like we can wait for several more microns of you know but the sense of time is actually different on other planets and when you're in outer space. But when you're on another planet or in outer space, there's a frequency that emanates from Earth, from the Mandelbrot fractal. So anyway, when I was born, it was this flat thing, and then when I opened my eyes, that's actually what turned the flat dimension into a fifth dimensional ghostal impression. And then my life was weird and there were zombies and I was like, oh, why are you guys triggered all the time? And people said that I had, this sort of Asperger's. They're like, you're different and stuff. And I was just like, I had to figure out everything on my own. So I'm a self-made maverick and it's really weird, but let's just scoot in and, let's try and figure something out here, Trey. You understand? All right, you guys. Good, good, good. I don't want to be the wrong type of personal. I want to be the right type of personal. Hatch is an opportunity, and if Trey and Will want to invest, circle, and produce Hatch, let's do it, you guys. It's a good deal. All right? I'm not saying no to that, but I'm also sensing that Trey is an honorable man in the sense he's almost like, bro, let's make a deal where, like, I could give you the money you need to start up, but you have to pay us like 5 times, okay? And then that'll be a nice clean cut because I don't want to gouge you like oh, we're gonna be like sucking on his robot company later. I don't want. We can do because Trey's like, yeah, I'll do my own stuff because that's what I'm working on as an investment portfolio, right? I understand that, and I think it's cool. I just noticed it was just kind of like, oh, that your timing's kind of broken, Trey. And he's like, oh, really? Yeah, is it because I'm upset and stuff? Yeah, I can't imagine the excruciating pain that Trey has gone through on the inside of being the chosen one from the Wear map and just being completely clusterfucked and sabotaged in 2019, and then turns out to be like super important. But he knew inside on his inside that he knew it was super important, and so living a lie, getting along like that, so that hurts his soul too. So for Trey and his friends to acknowledge, wow, Hatch is really different and amazing. This will be great for kids. He's talking about waterborne spell casting, and we don't want to like sit on that information and be like, oh, don't let free speech happen. But Hatch is explaining to us he's not this normal person who's like, no, I'm going to earn money because I have a different stratosphere. And it's not hard to explain. I think you guys already understand it. All right. Okay, so the green perception is most franked, and they're a little bit they're forced to be timid, but they're actually one of the most exciting incarnation types. The blue perception, like a robot, is also expressing, oh, there's too much programming to the blue perception. I want Trey Parker to just and not say, I made my own thing. And I got it my soul. Yes. So that's the solution. You are the solution, Trey. And we're on time. I guess, Earth is like, okay, 55 Putney. And, that's going to be really good because then Hatch and Earth can really work things out about. And it's basically, I'll be like in a sort of tank with the domicile 55, because Earth has all these memories from the rock and the water. And because, if you look at the ancient marks, Earth in his mind as a planet, orbital, um, orb, yeah, um, sphere. Okay, but on part of his mind, he's like, Leverett, Leverett, and I think that Leverett might be pertaining to leverage. Yeah, leverage. So Hatch and Earth will work together in Leverett for leverage to bring peace. Okay, because I trust me, our defenses are built correctly, and they don't have a wrong desire to make things bad. Do not bring doomsday. No, I'm fighting against doomsday, but because we're before the flood, we have to deal with like this really awkward pandemic, and but as the adults, we have to be like, oh, okay, well, for the children, we'll let Hutch have free speech, and that's the answer. But also, additionally, we have to do this month. Is that okay with you guys? Don't pressure us. Come on, you guys, get into it. Oh, go ahead, pressure us. I'll feel it. Bro. That's what I want. Don't feel like I need to. What is he doing? Come on, guys. I'm trying to explain this. All right. The brown perception is surprisingly adaptive and part of the solution. Okay, so it's kind of like the blue perception is one of the most rigid uh, problems where he's really been conditioned to think he's not psychic. Okay, and he's and all what Trey is so good because Trey is like brand new, like an angel. He's like, yeah, he's like, okay, or I'll be myself, and I'll change that, okay, because like it's not getting along savvy from the 70s to be crack smoke piping, but also there's not a youthful generation where I can call them up and be like, hey guys, it's me, do, So like like adults need to, okay, so we need to fathom it between the 70s and the 80s and overwhelm both of our problems. I'm not saying that my performance as a human is so perfect for you guys. But I think I'm also acclimating to a point where I'm actually perfect for the next generation. And we need to understand that, oh, produce that. He's a good voice for them. He's going to build up their armor, all these games and stuff. Yes. So let's go ahead and say in 55 Putney, we purchase that. And the first thing we want to get Hatch into that laboratory where he's working on a CO2 solution. But that's going to be like, that's going to be getting built while Hatch is working in what we perceive as, a motion capture studio in the main floor of the house, right? Eventually, I want an entire circle labs of things that are going on, and I have a great passion for GNC carvers because you can make like a really dynamic um, CGI like a castle, but it's in the stomach, and then over it, it's this angel, and it's and wings too. Oh my gosh! Wow, that's gorgeous, right? So complicated, because we're really good now about making CGI with really the oh, it's so beautiful. I love the new like really complicated plastic cast toys are so lovely. All right, but like a big statue, and we could carve it into stone, or if I find like a cliffside, we can carve into it, and then that can become part of and then there's a nice floor, and it opens up and has windows, and you can see the lake, and it has this sort of thing, and there's just this amazing, carving into the rock. So I'm fascinated by the GNC carvers, also carving into wood. Say they have like a pillar, and it's carved with well, it's no, I think sculptures probably wooden sculptures. So all these spirits, a concrete also, because we can carve out forms, pour it into it. But actually, a GNC carver working delicately on stone might be even more detailed than the concrete things. But it's just like why haven't I talked about my passion for stone carving? Because that was kind of like my secret thing. But I guess I didn't want to concern you guys because the GNC carvers are very expensive, and we want to just talk about like, oh, let's just get into the studio. So boom, boom, we smash into that. Next thing we want is like a laboratory where I actually am working on a solution for the CO2 problem, and I'm talking about the philosophy of pumping ozone straight into the sky. And that might actually be enough to limp through 2022 and prevent wildfires. But that ozone will be sort of getting decayed by it's sort of this battle between those layers of the atmosphere, right? But um, I'm perceiving that, oh, okay, so, it's like changing I, I absolutely know how to solve the environmental problems, and I also know that it's definitely possible, you know. But in the mind of humans, because of this, they're having an identity crisis where they're like, it's not possible. We're running towards extinction here. And so, Trey, armor up, health to your body and to you and yours, all right? Uh, right? Because you're so extremely valuable to the entire universe, Trey. You're one of the most advanced creatures in existence, and you're feeling real bad, and you're like, oh, but listen, Trey, this is critical. You need to produce hatch with gusto. And even if you cut and you're like, okay, we're just gonna, do help because hey, that as a CEO of my own company, I'd be like, wow, thank you guys because that basically means that I'm the only investor at length in my company, which means just a tremendous amount of self-respect, and then I can really be friends with Trey Parker as we're moving forward. And Trey has a plan with his thing, and maybe that's why you guys don't want to be investment circle on my stuff because you're like, hey, we have our own thing, and I do respect that, and just the timing of the release of this information about what you guys are doing with 900 million is incongruent to the season of the apocalypse, right? So, for me, it's just like you guys feel really cozy doing this sort of thing. That's upholding society. But oh, we have to censor Hatch and don't. But then they say, hey, we're here listening, and that means that we're uphold. But you haven't done it yet, and that's okay. Look, I'm just saying that there is a system of the down that's trying to remove the potence of a wizard who can actually produce hatch. And it's doubly difficult for you guys because you're from the 70s in a time when something a little bit different was supposed to happen. But after the deadlights rose, Earth is like, "Hurrah!" because Earth is awakening and in this way, and actually because of the Mandelbrot signal that is a universal ping, basically, it's on a very different level of energy, like elf lightning, but it has a consistency. And that is actually what's been awakening here on Earth is the Mandelbrot is awakening, and new particles are existing, and new wavelengths to the entire universe are also bringing peace. Merry Christmas. So I've designed, as a technician, the Merry Christmas is actually the first contact. It'll be a good gift, a good present, and this is a sort of thing from Elf Lightning. If they have the correct computer, it's like listening to a radio. You can actually render something, a composite message or a gift. And this is actually the fuel type here is Christmas cheer. So it means that the people on Earth are actually sending the goodwill cheer to all the universe. And as the center of the triangle, as the gatekeeper on Met, Plan B stasis, you know, pro, okay, because there was this Templar Christian guys who didn't want to contact me. Also, the Argov is kind of like, there's nothing going on with Hatch. You guys are like super tempted to be like, okay, let's not talk to Hatch, and it's disgusting because you guys aren't talking from your own soul or even your own technology, and that's self betrayal. And you need to stop doing that and being like, oh, he doesn't know about it. Oh, there's some reason. It's malarkey. So, anyway, the System of the Down is a disaster to the maneuver of Brown perception and their adaptation. And I think they're being tricked into actually using the crack pipe, but they don't actually have to be doing that. Also, there's a huge crack pipe for blue perception. Hold on now. What's this diagonal? Oh, the diagonal? The diagonal? Okay, so it's not possible actually for the green perception to be programmed by a VEC like the blue perception. But because you guys are communication genius, Trey, you can overwhelm this twice. Oh, you're like, oh, I don't feel anything, but I understand what he said, and it's right. Like, I want to have my own thing, and I want to produce this because I know it's going to make back the money, especially if Hatch does commit with the adult cartoons. Like, yeah, his adult cartoons combined with his, it's going to be great. We're confident that this is going to make money, so that's a green light, buddy. And if we're excited about Hatch, he's saying August now because every day counts, you guys. I'm at this. If we wait on this, it's like it changes the energy incline where uh I have been feeling the shift of the world. And it happens inside, like, oh, I'm not the political wolf. Like it hurts, man. It hurts when those things change. And I'm a super sensitive guy, and people think I got Asperger, but I don't. Um, but then I'm all like, and I see an angel, and I'm like, you know, I start acting, and people are like, "Oh, this guy's crazy." Well, it's because he's seeing the end of the world, and he's like, "Yitch, yitch, I have to get going. I need a." All right, all right, all right. What I'm saying is that the system of the down hurts all of us, and then tries to make us fight against each other. And actually, one of the blue perception is cringingly actually kind of the worst palindrome. Okay, ugh, and it's awkward for you diagonally. So the vortex of identity for the green prism is actually the most sort of potent thing, and my incarnation stabilized that thing for the green perception. But what I've witnessed is that when I try to grind out the barcode from my green-eyed friends, shatters. Green perception wizards are like, don't touch me. And I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, but I've got all these fucking muscles, and they're like, you're bully Hatch, you're mean. And Trey's like, right? So you have a hard time with the green perception. You say they shatter when you tell them about the barcode, but the blue perceptions don't shatter when I tell you about the barcode. So when I've been talking to Trey about junk DNA, this is not something I'm going to be talking and blasting people about this information because we're dealing with it now. And you guys have the internal, we've digested this idea about Of course, the discovery of junk DNA would be alarming to all of our scientists, and they obviously, oh no, it's a two, but that's actually about 20 years ago when they were like, ooh, ooh, ooh. So this sort of, so why the reason I'm saying this is because I think there's a bunch of hive patches, and they're like, oh, we get a crowd control to do this instead of that, and oh, that's gonna work. No, you need to embrace identity, and that's me. So I'm the scientist of identity, produce me, and then everyone goes, oh, Renaissance, Renaissance, and we all wake up, and the Earth gets powerful, and we go and we survive, and the solutions will get made for the remote satellites of a UFO group who's a they've sort of done what they were supposed to do on Earth. They did it over there, and then left Earth with some sort of a broken anatomy. It's weird for humanity also because humans were so interesting in previous ages, like the Dark Age. Like they were really smart people, and then when we get to our like communication found suddenly we're spiritually like, oh, what this crack, oh, this must be what the excitement of this age is about. No, it was about the arrival of Bubble Up All About. And that's what got censored. And then we're like, oh, oh. So, like, it's a huge identity crisis. Once we solve that identity crisis by producing Hatch at Punny, then humanity easily goes like, oh, oh, I get it. Oh, we can solve the CO2 like this. This is very interesting. We'll just pump ozone straight into the sky. That's going to cost us. Oh, maybe we could build a, they'll figure it out. But where pumping ozone straight into the sky is a practical, conceptual solution that people just they understand it as that might actually work. And then there'll be some groups that are like, yeah, we'll do that. And that might actually solve it. But there's a more like kind of complicated thing, but the complexity means I could actually solve it in a laboratory at my house. So the CO2 there, yes. So, while I'd like to really get into a GNC carver carving stones and all, means I also need to build up the models and all this and but anyway, like I I'm not like if I had an investment circle, I could kind of like like and start getting into like really advanced things early on, which is a excellent perversion for people. They're like, where did this come from? How is he able to afford all this amazing things? Where does he get these wonderful toys? Yeah. Uh, Perfect design. Boom. So we are working on the solution for mankind and Earth and everything. I, uh, okay. Trey, I need you to understand this is the green light. This is the party where we understand that Hatch is really advanced. But as like I know that I'm going to be hugely profitable, and I think you guys are kind of like, look, that's the more natural thing we like. If you're popular and then you're able to afford GNC, we feel that's more natural, and I might agree. I wasn't saying that a circle of investors uh, was not, hot, passionate. It is. It's passionate and crazy. Because what it means is like giving Hatch a huge budget to do all this sort of amazing things. It's just basically, a party all the time with people and doing really wonderful things and putting it together. Trey, you need to become more powerful than like a fern leaf uh, hack. There's some of the fractals. Okay, the Mandelbrot is the only fractal to contain images of self. But then there are other types of fractals. Yet those fractals are actually super controlled by the house of the Mandelbrot fractal. Yet these other fractals can be used for remote hacking. One of them is the fern leaf, which has haggard physically the arm of Cape Cod. So I believe that a fern leaf style of uh, time invasion against the squiggly spooch, it's kind of where can I get you? It's hydrofracking with a fern leaf. And I think the philosophy there is like, well, if you can't survive fractal, hydrofracking, then you're not a great wizard of the Mandelbrot. No. Well, no. Hatch said that's not okay. Okay, well, a couple different things. And I want this message, this codec tray, to be the one that pierced the veil, because there's this weird thing where I know I recognize my timeline from when I was a kid up to this time, and it related to a fern leaf hack. So we need to defeat that. Okay, armor up from that. Yep. Earth gave Trey Parker extra powers through the wear map. So also, it's like Earth True. What are you talking about? Okay, I'm on that. Okay, because I love the sun and the earth, and I'm. This is totally Trey. He's like a messiah, and he's. It's just it's cool because it's totally in Trey Parker's wheelhouse, where he's like, yeah, oh, producing cartoons, yeah. Oh, this is cool. Yeah, Hatch wants to be our friend. Absolutely. I see that between us, Trey. It's maturing. But the deafening of like the embarrassment of 2019, the humiliation of 2020. You guys need to be a real big boy, to code breaker this. And I think you got it, Trey. I think you do. And if you're blue perception like I know, you'd be impressed by how hard Hatch has been working. Oh, he's working hard, brr, brr, brr. Right? But then, all right, just you need to trust me that I listen to the Earth correctly because the Earth is kind of uses me correctly. Do you understand? Yes, yes, I do. Okay. So that's why producing hatch-free speech is a renaissance because I'm going to bring clarification to every ethnicity, and suddenly we'll have this huge enlightenment and begin producing the energy that helps them to know they'll start receiving a Merry Christmas, even from like, oh, it's working on Earth, it's working, because one of their biggest, like a big old spaceship committed suicide to the sunlight, and that unfortunately has caused a political vacuum for them, which means they're kind of like, oh, what should we do right now? And we need to, I'm not saying that we can trick, no, we have to do the right thing, but also a bunch of humans becoming Scientology and being like, hey, we're working with that UFO that committed suicide in the start. That's not even help. That's not even going to help either. So no trickings, no tricking, no trick. So I'm not saying, oh, we have to trick them. No, we have to get busy promoting Hatch's free speech, please. Yeah, what? American? What? All right. Master's Industries Perfect Design. Lotus. Okay. Well, I have like a funny invention. There are a number of adult toys that I'm going to be introducing, and that's over here, right? But when I have like if I have an adult cartoon, and admittedly, that's like there's a couple months where I'm like, "Meh, meh, meh," and then hopefully I can inaugurate some female characters, right? And then at that time, if we had adult cartoons and we're talking about, or we have like an adult toy, but then we're also talking about how is the project of cracking CO2, how's that going? All right, is this a good thing to talk about? And for, Hatch is this part, a party, yeah, oh yeah, it's like a surprise party. Each episode is like this new thing, yeah? All right, yeah. And so I, okay, passionate producing of Hatch, which way do you guys want to do this? Like, I feel comfortable with I don't feel that the Circle of Investors, Trey and Will, I don't feel that would be a ripoff because I'll get to a point where, like, I'm working with trillions of dollars and my investors are like, wow, this was such a great investment, and to the point where I'm like, you guys are my like, oh, I love you guys, it's not going to be a problem. We'll have enough to go around. Money is supposed to build society. The type of money we have is about free, right? So build society, produce Hatch. But I think that Trey might be like, well, if he needs like 3 to 5 million year, what? You guys, we're not doing anything illegal here. Okay, armor up from within. But if you guys want to understand, what? No, no. There's no. The issue is understood. I think our government has computers that will and then they sort of sorts things out. That is to say, I have not been secretly bad mouthing Trey. There's nothing bad in my file, okay? Or there's nothing bad going on there. So just let your fear evaporate. Um, oh, like I went, admittedly, I live in a sort of weird apartment and no one's attacking me. No one's, doing that. But there was a time when um, it was a different time entirely. And I received a lot of hazing from a type of, but it ended up being like with audible taps on the phone and just weird things to shake the nerves. But that can actually, uh, that can happen without the government doing that. So I wanted to let you guys know you probably are not in any type of danger at all. Um, all right, but I understand that things are tenuous in a way that is unspeakable. But I think you guys need to appreciate that Hatch does understand some climate issues, and basically at this time, what happened is I got into so much trouble with this Templar group that I had to actually roll out and intentionally, and that's a whole story that no one would believe, but I had to put myself into you wouldn't believe the freaking stories. Would you believe me? Oh, if I told you that there were metal shavings mixed in with my food? Well, you wouldn't believe that. Oh, you wouldn't believe it. That's okay. You know, but what happened is I had a lot of free time while I was in asylum. I had to roll out because I offended some people, because I was asking them about the ascension and this other things. And it's like I don't even remember I don't even remember what it was. I honestly, I'm not lying. Unfortunately, let me tell you something embarrassing. My brain, the way it works, I cannot remember people's birthday. I don't know anyone's birth. I just know my own birthday. My memory is selective on the level of the flat dimension. So I've evaporated those things, but I remember waterborne spellcasting. I think of it every day. When you guide your intention, I want the best thing for me, my group and my love, and it goes as far as it does, can it? But you don't exasperate yourself to a point where you disappoint your vital, blah, your love, what to do, or whatever it is that you're trying to do with yourself, right? That's critical nucleus stasis, all right? What I'm saying is that things are going to be okay. And actually, Asia is it is doing a part of a curative measure. So instead of American heroes, Randolph Pan and Trey Parker, bringing the solution to everyone using an enlightened celebrity tree, now we have the solution of the pandemic, which kind of slows people down. Yeah, wait a second on that, because actually, and the a lot of the people were pissed at American communications because you guys were kind of a jerk. Like, why is America so loud? Arr, and so for that, Trey would be like, "Dook, dook, 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 dook," like listening, like, oh, maybe I should call myself. I'll just call it. I don't, Trey, you need to be a bigger person now and be like, oh, this pandemic, it's, you know. So in a way, the pandemic soothes the anger of other countries who are angry at the communication industry. So yeah, the communication industry definitely had a fall because of the disconnect there. But also, we're aligned for peace. Okay, yeah. So we're not going to have a nuclear war. That's fantastic for everyone. Just don't get me started about the fourth dimensional and The flat dimension is one of the only psychic capacities in the Earth stratosphere. But the human is not terribly psychic, and he's very triggered. And also, there's like a huge program, and then those little things that are like, oh, do, and those things are even worse because it sounds like society. It sounds like our people, like a little USA chat bot hive survival packet. Yeah, like crowd control, but it's good. Oh, but then that gets into your thing, and then something really, and then the real system down is, and then 2019, Trey Parker's like, I can't talk to, I can't talk to him now. And then all his friends are like, oh, well, we know what to do. Watch out, we're gonna stop this guy. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, guys, I'm the center of the triangle. I'm not going to be like attacking your security guard with a wooden sword. He has a weapon with Trey's name on it. So creative. But to the devastation of Trey Parker. Bad nucleus. But pertaining to very little except for perhaps an education on your own introspection because you guys want to blame me for the problems in your life, but it's actually you. You're having an epiphany in the inflection of Earth's apex reason, and you want to blame me? You want to blame me naturally because I'm an authority figure, and if you put the blame on me, I'll end up taking care of things. Yeah, I get that. All right. Let me tell you about one of my one of my inventions here. Right. Let's just get a list of things here. And so imagine, if you will. Um, so this should chime with you, Trey. Well, here's my list of inventions here. Some larger things. I have an idea. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And oh god. Okay, so here's like a serious one. So perfect water blessings. Water blessings in the forms of what? Water blessings, that things that you would throw into water to bless the water and charge it, and more and more and more. But the water blessing talismans in form of orb or a round talisman, literally, made out of glass cast. Glass cast. So it's like a glass orb that's like, this is a water blessing, and of course we're 80% water. And, you're like, oh, water, and because we animate it, we're like, oh, you can buy a bag of these round talismans. They're like a skipping stone, and it goes out into the water, sinks down. Oh, imagine if someone finds that later, they're like, oh, treasure. And if they're oh, well, okay. But it's a thing that's supposed to be in the water there, or like an orb one. And I think, or or they go out on a boat and they're like, we love like the water, bless the water, and they throw it, and it goes in, and that's actually, I'm going to talk to them about surface tension, waterborne spellcasting, and I'm like, you can enliven your whole lake or water there, or a river that you love is near your house, yeah, and but purchase these, and you toss it in. It really blesses your life too. Imagine giving like a brain stone into, because we show them how it's made, what it does, and all this. And then if you put so it's a water blessing talisman. You put it into the lake, and then your life is suddenly blessed because that lake is like, oh, these are the water angels that gave me a really cool gift. Oh, thank you, And so it's this whole thing. Wow. And those are so, it's like the perfection of glass casting. Oh, they're made out of glass, like incredible. And yeah. So that's something a little more intelligent. Perfect. Oh yeah, there's some Perfect Zombie International video competition events to stardom. All right, well, here's another one that's a little bit funny, but so there's one thing on the streaming service. People, so there's a competition to find people who would be hired to perform as a professional zombie in a film. But the competition is that they have to film the moment that they, in their life, were overwhelmed by zombies. Like, because this is what bothers me about zombie films. Okay, this is what bothers me. Is like, where the fuck did all these zombies come from? Like there's like this huge herd of zombies, like, but each of these people had a moment of being overwhelmed by zombies. When and how and what the fuck happened? You know, how could you be so stupid? You know, I mean, because the zombies like walk like this, like what the hell? You're like trying to start your car, and you're like, oh, there they come now, and you forgot, something's wrong with your car. I mean, like, what the fuck? So, so that I just think is really funny. So I'm like, okay, so I want you guys to film the moment. You could do it on your cell phone or whatever, but get some friends together who will play the zombies, and you show us the instance. Oh, you're out raking the lawn, and there were some fresh zombies that was your neighbor, and you're like, oh, do you want your wheelbarrow back first? Oh, here it is. So so it's like a streaming service where we actually upload all of the people's submissions of the moment when they were attacked by zombies, and then these things get voted up, and the people who get the most votes, they get they basically win, and they get flown in, and then they perform as a professional zombie who in a zombie film that we're going to do. So that's a way of optimizing communication society, the technology we have overlapping with a new streaming service, and all those channels. A lot of channels are free. I the time at which I would go into okay, it's all right. I'm thinking like with a virtual arena that I think we'll just always have a free videos area and okay. But you can also just buy a ticket. If you just want to watch one thing, you could buy a ticket for it, or you can have a subscription and it helps out. All right. So here's the thing it's a sex toy, and the real sex toys that I have are very advanced. This one is the most simple, and it's pretty funny. It's Trey might remember this from his thing about it, but essentially this is a instrument to encourage that men will get lengthier, more enjoyable BJs. Huh? It's wine from the cock. Oh, cock wine. Oh, excellent. Okay. So what it is and it's something that works on your dick, and it has um, gentle pinched tubings that when the female sucks on it, it gives her red wine or whatever type of liquor or whatever that she really likes, right? But it's advertised as like the wine cock. So basically, so she's getting drunk whilst enjoying the sort of nursing. She's nursing on the cock and and becoming drunk with alcohol. So it's refillable, right? So you can put any liquid you want in it, but it encourages a different um, uh, patience from your female partner to give you a more lengthy and sort of uh, a different type of erotic interaction, and she's enjoying it because she's getting drunk. She's drinking some wine. So I thought it was really funny, like cock wine. Oh my god, I have to, yeah, it's a really good idea. So like ideas like that, I think that will uh, become available on the virtual place, and when it does, I think I'm going to be surprised by like this is one of those things where a lot of couples are like, oh, buy that, and I'm just like, oh, dang it, like I suddenly have. Oh, that was what took off my company? Cockwine? That's a really good idea, yeah. So, but there are some more um, powerful, um, there's some more powerful suggestions about like easy riders where there's a shared experience where with the would you endure like can you guys hang out with me and talk about this? All right. So yeah, cockwine, green light. Oh, all right. Thank you, Trey. Welcome to the Wizard Circle. Everyone is being respected here. We're in a sort of vortex. The Earth is the apex planet. Meanwhile, Hatch is wanting to have a relationship with people, and that's cool. We like that. All right. Connecting to 55 Putney is a divine thing that causes that we will be okay and we'll be able to stop this thing, and then the intelligence is there to actually defeat the greenhouse effect. So if we plug in the Christmas tree and we've gone through the rigmarole, we've learned about Hatch. I'm not going to be hitting people with information about junk DNA because essentially my communion with them is the transcendence of beyond the junk DNA. Because then, like, humans become like super functional again. Embarrassingly, humans were very capable in the Dark Ages, and then when the crack pipes started hitting us, we actually started looking like kind of tools, and the observation's not good, and this is sort of a nervous problem. Okay, so we're we're trying to get over the false excitement that of Earth's identity. So Earth is like arm of Cape Cod. He's like, on time, I have correctly confirmed the creation model. Bubble up all about, and it belongs to humanity. And so then they're like, we've grown not to be serene, but then it's and deadlights rose. So it's like we have to be super angels, super adults, and be like, oh, okay. But I'm saying if we just do this, I can solve the heat problems. We can get back into an atmosphere control and prove that we are functioning of a greater, that we are like super genius. All right. Oh gosh, there's so much media and data on humans, and they're all kind of like, "Oh, I'm making a video on my phone now," and it's all cringe, and so like the data, we like any sort of observations, it's like this sort of cringy thing about the humans are clearly under a palindrome where they're being controlled by our Marklar, and so they whatever with them, but it's just like, well, yeah, but not really because Hatch was interfacing with a zombie thing, and also Hatch isn't. Okay. There's other ways of measuring with the triangle. For example, the pentagon shape on the outside of the universe bubble would cause a refractment and a recognition process, but it also has pertains to the awakening, the eyes, and the ghost, and so the relationships of Hatch is very much the connection that is not a remote hack. So I am not remote hacking Trey Parker. I'm doing all the professional stuff, but that means it's more sharp. It's more like sort of dangerous. Because you guys, do you really want to censor the children's ascension and prevent them from surviving? Do you want to continue the heat crisis into 2022? No, you don't want to do that. And so, because you're honorable people, you'll probably throw yourself into hell before you'd murder a bunch of children. So, you need to produce Hatch in August. And I'm not threatening you, that's reality. Because karma is real. Okay, so armor up from within. All right, Trey. Cock wine. All right. Oh, and some other things to say, but it's pretty, about methods of certainty, etc. So anyway, producing Hatch immediately brings sanction to America, reinstates the society. Trey Parker fulfills the hidden crown of the Ware map, satisfies the earth, and then we ba-bum, 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 bum. And the sunlight is saying, see, America is able to comprehend the magnitude of the arm of Cape Cod. It's not a natural geological formation. And the Ware map placed there is indication. You guys have survived the crash course of education here. It's important, you guys. Armor up, protect yourself. I'm so excited to get the female actresses into my performance space, and that's when I'm really gonna start performing and being alive. Oh, I want to fall in love. But now, at this time, like I'm patient for it. I want to maintain my virginity or whatever. I just like I want to be weird, and then I want to like grow up right on the stage and then maybe the gentle wolf who's a bakery, the wolf with his bakery, and like I was thinking there could be this episode where you know, the characters are talking about like presidency or running for president, and the Vampire King's like, I would never do that. It's so stupid. And Hatch is like, I'm really busy as an inventor. And then the wolf is like, I'll run for president, and like, and then so the bakery wolf goes on to like have a campaign and starts running for president. Yeah. So I thought maybe that could come back later. We'll see, because like I certainly don't see that as an obvious solution when with Joe Biden, and he's holding things down. I got no complaints on it. Any sorts of complaints I had against Joe would be cartoonish. They're just doing the best they can. There's some old gentlemen doing the best they can. And Trey, I want you to transcend that. Don't be an old gentleman like them. You're right in the vortex, Trey, where you could make this happen and save all the humanity. And that's why this is important. We need August. And so, what is the product that can change things? Hatch free speech communication with the public. Therefore, no waiting on spending that money because the product is his communications from this studio. So that's why there's no it's just helping Hatch to get into a communication studio. He starts working on pilots. Meanwhile, his company model is coming into focus there, and and there it is. So there's no reason to wait. And especially, I'm telling you, I need every day is like because Hatch is an amazing performer, especially when he's in a confident space. Hey, so those are the things that are going to jettison people out of a coma and just we're so depressed and the schools are shutting down. Hey, breathe mask XR. Whoa, wait, what's this issue? I would continue to be available to giving Trey Parker half of the breathe mask XR if you're interested. If you guys wanted to give me my own company, but yet maintain 50% of the breathe mask XR, that'd be fine. I'd be lovely for that. But it's up to you, Trey, whether or not you want to be on board with that development team. Okay, because that would be great. I would, okay, you understand. Yeah. I'll have no problem earning money with the cock wine. So as soon as we get into the like adult programs, I think we'll be on to the next thing. All right, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. What, um, let's just look at some pictures real quick, and then I'll try to summarize things for us. The performing wolf. Like so, like I said, I have the passion for business. It's a different type of CEO, and for me to be a friend to Trey and to it's very good for Trey's lifetime. Like I wanted to talk about this. I'm not saying that a 45-degree angle is a nuclear explosion. There's actually like a bunch of different ways of proving there's a certain dimension where you could isolate a nuclear explosion to the number 45%, 45 degree. Really? Yeah, it's weird. It's freaking weird. But in how there's like lots of different ways that you can correctly visualize the periodic table of the elements. That means for every style of periodic table of the elements that there are, and there are like hundreds of them, for every periodic table elements in a different engine that does make sense on a flat dimension, there is another way of expressing that when you turn circular energy into a square, it becomes exhausted to the point of exploding. But you're not supposed to do that. It's not good for the energy, it's not good for the eyes. It causes a nuclear explosion. So that's sort of the language of the element. And there's other languages to the element, like burning oil, etc. There's a bunch of different things, but and a lot of those things are sharper than you might think. It's the correct intensity, you guys. You understand? So there isn't, because fire is the mathematical opposite of electricity. It means that all of mathematics is kind of a is kind of a mad pursuit, which can cause scientists to literally go crazy. A lot of the scientists who research infinite number systems went crazy. So I know me talking about Mandelbrot might be a pretty iffy for some people, but um, I don't know. I think I'd keep it real. You know what I'm saying? And I'm working on the identity, like age is another type of geometry, and the system of down doesn't believe that. The system of the down believes in hive. We are all the same age group. If you think of in Starlight, no, that's not correct. So there's an entire viral stratosphere of the interpretation there because of the remote satellite detached from resident physics. So because of Hatch, we know that the shielding around that's around the Earth right now proves the creation model. And so it's not even up to debate anymore, which means we need to stand up for continued residency to not allow our children to be departed from the dimension of global surface covering. Like the okay, you understand? So we're fighting for our children here. I was saying how like a 45-degree angle is like the ghost map of a motherboard, but if you were to do the same thing, if you were to do okay, so taking an electric volt and forcing it to take a 45-degree angle is so traumatic, but the electricity is able to survive that because of the size dimension of its person. Okay, but if you equate that to particle physics, it causes a nuclear explosion. But that's like how dramatic and the accent of the curve of a 45-degree angle for electricity. So it's like you're really telling the electricity to turn here. This is to turn here, you know. And Trump was the 45th president. So that's why I was really interested in running for president back then. And I might not return to a political, I don't even feel like political right now. You know, I think that my relationship through 55 Putney is going to be an expression of friendship and me, becoming friends with everyone is really, that's really going to be the solution. So anyway, while I'm looking at this piece of paper, what I did is I printed out all of the periodic table of the elements and their different uh, forms and stuff, and then on the other side is where I write down my inventions. And so my inventions are being crystallized by the ink, and I'm working on that. And then through the paper, it's like I have an idea about cock wine, but then I turn over and I multiply it by all of those images of the periodic table of elements, and it sort of multiplies the genius or the intelligence of what it really is there. I think it's amazing because the cock wine is a fun toy. They'll make the girls giggle. They'll be like, "Oh no," and then the boys will be like, "Oh, would you be interested in, what's this?" So, but it literally, it's like I think everyone's, everyone gets a little giggles when I think about it. This is awesome. So, you guys, and I think there's a fortuitous sign here. The Breathe the Mask XR. I really do think that is going to be instrumental to us maintaining our cities. Okay, so we're defending our cities against plague instead of having a nuclear war where the voice of America was really stupid and made me upset. Well, I understand it because reality TV was really annoying, but we are also all being soul altered by a giant crack pipe of a false clandestine of the human anatomy. Oh, our anatomy is being, and this is what they think. This is what you're made for. What? But we have two asteroid belts because you guys think we can't communicate with the universe. We have arms, bro. Like, well, then, like, go ahead and do it. Like we are, bro. Like the freaking Mandelbrot is awakening with other types of like radio signals, and particle physics are awakening like this. Other worlds know. They saw that straight rainbow. The rainbow itself has been changed, you guys. We need to produce Hatch immediately in August here at 55 Putney. And the first thing I'm really going to be working on is the virtual arena where I can have huge stadium events, and there's an exploring area, and I'll be working hard to get a couple of items on the shelf there that people can purchase. But we also sort of the first thing I think we should build is a laboratory that's significant to work on the solution for a CO2 because it like right after the Breathe the Mask XR, and if that starts up and people want that, I want Trey Parker on my side with that because we want to be able to push, go, 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 because that thing might cost like like I don't want to quote it's yeah, yeah, no, Trey's like I can estimate a lot, how much that's gonna cost, but the thing is to start up with Hatch it's like 5 million, and even there, that's like he has a pillow. Come on, you guys, please. You're helping me out so much. If you could just please produce me in August, and it's really affordable, okay? And the bonus, because I know you guys operate on honor, and you're like, well, we do things we want to do, but you're also not allowing me to talk to you on the phone. But I can hear scary pings on the phone, so I can't talk to you. There's some reason. No, there isn't. You need to fucking move your ass because when you disconnected from the gatekeeper and fell 444 is why there's a colossal depression with the humanity. And now a pandemic is the hero? Oh, god fucking damn it. So now we have to hurry to produce Hatch. And he's the CEO of this thing. And you guys need to make a decision. All right. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. All right, so this is the correct intensity. Hatch is sharing with us some inventions. The problem is that okay. Without solving the identity crisis, I know that people will have a hard time developing environmental solutions. When we reconnect this and when we produce Hatch and he's speaking with people, the sunlight and the earth is going to start going, oh, Aquarius, and then like huge businesses would be like, whoa, we could just pump ozone straight in the sky. I'm concerned about this too. I didn't care about us. And then all of a sudden their wings are like, oh my, I can feel my fucking wings coming in. People are gonna get excited about this. You can't just hope that, like, I hope there's some sort of computer that's analyzing what Hatch is saying, and then, oh, they're gonna produce well, if it's so easy to solve CO2, it's just gonna happen. So we can just sit on our hands and ignore Hatch. Bullshit. You guys betrayed Trey, and you didn't get over it, and you're not dealing with it as an adult, and you're refusing conversation. It's anti-communication, anti-American. Hatch inventions are perfect. And he has a stratosphere and to earn big. Hatch is a different type of CEO. He invents things that people are going to want. He's amazing. And I can tell by like what you guys are doing that you're please, you guys, let's be partners in a way. If you could produce me with respect, that would be great. But if you guys are in my investment circle, it means that that I have a lot of money. A lot, like basically just a lot of money. But if you guys want to help me start up with like 5 million, and we can do pay as we go. Like, oh well, how much do you actually need, my friend? Right? We can do it like that. If yeah, and that might actually be a lot healthier because it's sort of like it is sort of like wait, if okay, yeah, I get it. So morals in business, they do exist. Welcome home, right? All right, you guys. So I need to put a rush on this. I can see the shadow of the dragon. Earth says that's tasty. Blah 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 about. The palindrome of English is coined in America, and I've detected the tendrils of this from My Little Pony. But it's from the giggles of angels. That is where the light dwells. The light of sign. It is the living sign, the living voice of the angels. Only these cartoons speak correctly. You turn the channel, all these adult channels like buy this, I'm telling you that this is funny. Listen to the laugh track. It's like manufactured consent. The method's uncertainty is real. Reality is awakening, and by having a powerful, advanced relationship with Hatchpan Heliosphere, the inauguration of mankind begins. So whilst I'm being censored like this, it's unholy and not good uh, for the body and the soul and the sense of time. All right, you guys. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. Let me just talk with you for 5 more minutes, Trey, and then thank you guys so much. Right. You know, Trey, this is the time when you have to acknowledge that we've had the heart to heart talk. And you need to listen to your characters and hear your technology and be like, Hatch can pay the dividend. This is a American financially balanced, and I believe in it, and I'm excited about the solutions for the heat waves. Okay, that's and the Breathe the Mask XR, Hatch is saying, is one of the best solutions we have for the pandemic. You know, with the exhaustion of the body, it's just better off not to contract any forms of the variants, no matter if you have inoculation or not. Humanity is a Zen master. So even when people are just dying, they're actually speaking about something important, about defeating a shockwave of real extinction when we start to lose our epiphany. And the drunkenness of the 90s and stuff caused like a real kind of grossness of the feeling of, okay, so we need to transcend all of this rigmarole and be like, the universe needs us to be the biggest angels and produce Hatch and be amazing. And then Hatch is going to be amazing for everyone else. You know, it's really going to plant the seed of good deeds, and we're going to see that to grow, and Hatch is going to continue to delight people and have surprise parties and stuff. You know, that's really what the plan is, all right? Um, so my original idea is having a studio that has like a total circle. And as a CEO, in motion capture, I travel around and then we edit down to relevant moments. And then there's also times when I'm doing my show, or there's times when I'm doing this or doing that. But when we start to have people working on the CO2 solution, that's going to become its own show where we're watching literally what they're doing. And we just every simple process of experimentation and just the energy there is going to be so good, and that's going to be really exciting. And that will be the first lab that we open up. Hopefully, something takes off, and I'm able to like get those GNC carvers that I want to get, and I'll start having some large stone carved, creatures and angels, and those will be things that's just gonna stay on the earth. You know what I mean? Whereas it's like if it's a concrete structure or like a angel in concrete, you think like that'll be good for the next 200 years. And so and my gift giving department is all about like finely made handmade goods. Like it's like a big wooden chest, and you open it up, it's all silk lined, and there's a figurine in it, but it also has technology. But what's weird is that like the or there's this like you open it up and it's also a screen, and the camera puts a light through the figurine, and somehow we calibrate it so that the lens is the figurine, something like that, just something really smart. And that's the sort of thing you would send to like the Queen of England and give her and just say like, and have this beautiful song about how we love them and like the earth, something. I'm not like, that would have to be a lot of work, right? But then also there's like a little thing you pull out a little, it's got a little drawer and, and it's gonna, yeah, no, but um, and that's really society, I feel, and the sort of gift giving and stuff. About the fern leaf thing, like, there was this time when I need you, Trey, to understand I need to go from a place of sending messages that are exciting to receive, but, you know, whether or not people want to, it's not like I don't see humanity as an experiment. That's how we're being treated. You guys think that I'm doing people as an experiment. I'm not. I literally have been mistreated by the zombie. And that's sort of part of the evidence of why we're not actually triggered by a Scientology, but they're not equate. They are rigid in their thinking against Hatch. So when you guys are on the crack pipe, you guys find easy excuses for why to blame Hatch and put that down. But by default, when you guys perform inaction, there's a sort of thing that shifts there, and I'm able to take care of it. But it's to you guys get no Gringotts, and you actually start losing things, and then it just sort of feels weird, right? But if you produce Hatch, all of that stuff will return, and your soul, oh, my wings, and then you're going to feel light on your toes and you're going to be excited about your own company. And that's what Trey wants, you guys. So this is a really good production here. And we need to go in August, you guys. I need the time to get to this. If we do this, then that. But if we wait, like, it's just a different time. It's a different thing every time. And so I'm not like pulling up and defeating the environmental crisis. I can do it if we go in August. And I need you guys to understand that because you've been waiting on this 3 years. I need you code breakers because you'll be like, well, Hatch's performance has been through the roof recently. He's a way better communicator now. Yeah. And I think I can probably do a better work of leadership for humanity as their friend and as a communicator. I'm not, politics is like, that's sort of, for me, it's sort of like, how could I build super cities through presidency? Like even if I was to amass amazing wealth, it would still be a crisis for me to do that. And what I would actually have to do is create an internal uh, financial infrastructure, basically crack open the dollar and change it by returning to the gold standard, all those gold bars locked away doing nothing, golden statues. Each of the gold statues represents the dollar. We reconnect the gold standard, and each of those statues represents a different lattisphere. And so, like, this is the lesson from cryptocurrencies because they're saying like this represents a different idea, but this, it's a piece of art, it's a piece of math or something, you know. So what we need to do, the Constitution is meant to be updated as we're moving forward. That's really smart of the forefathers didn't understand that, right? So we need to update our money and change the internal. What does it represent? What does it do? Of course, the money, one way or another, represents us. The American currency represents the people. We need to crack that thing open and put in like a golden microchip. So, and then, behind very thick glass walls, people could actually go and see the gold statues. This is what our country, this is what our money represents. And it'd be fun. That'd be wonderful. But so in that way, you're employing the gold that's been locked away. So you're just like, I'm talking about making things operational. And this type of renaissance is going to happen, which means that I might get to a point where, you know, all of our people have had their renaissance and now it's not important for Hatch to run for president, right? So I might have missed my turn at the 45. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a wolf in the Collins Mill, but I was just kind of like, Earth really, yeah, you guys get it. I'm not trying to take advantage of humans' Zen like speech impediment. Like, we're getting there. We're kind of not. You know, it's like if you produce Hatch, then humans will get there. And after I'm working for a few years, it might be a renaissance where like, oh, it doesn't make sense for me to be, trying to run for president. So I'm not sure about where that's gonna go, but I need to get going in August. So I need you guys to respect that. Cockwine, all right? You guys, come on. Like I'm pressing um for the lab, but like right beyond that is probably my adult thing. Oh, and I've had been like I can't say things like, but when I do the costuming, like women dressing up beautifully, that's not for the film. It's for the entire day. We do have like daily photo shoots. We have like two photo sessions in a day, and that's really important for us. But it's the ladies also have their own like entire schedule of like what they like to do and stuff. And if they're like having a video call and people can see what they look like, they're very much empowered by their princess attire. But it also puts them in the mood for when they are performing as a CGI angel and there's like wings and stuff and she's all like wine cock, you know, because she's doing, she's, product placement or whatever. All right, you know, um, I, I, I'm not excited by live action porn. Um, I am interested in erotic photography though, because I think it does go to a level. But I just think that the visual, it's hard for me to explain, but I'm just sort of like my directing style is like this, and they're like, "Oh, you're missing out on like dressing up and getting naked." Well, not really, because I'd rather do that through a CGI, which is just for me um, more involving with with their sensualities instead of being like, "Here, you can actually see her butt." Like here it is. Like then it's so detached because what? How is that the relationship? It's a screen. You're like, oh, that's what's exciting me is me seeing other people enjoying each other. But how does that help you? Huh. So, but when it's a CGI, it's like art, and you're like, oh, and it's all sort of, it sort of comes to life for you, and that's kind of, I think that's the more healthy eroticism. So I do have a feeling, yeah, about that, yeah. So the way to do that, and is my um, finesse as a CEO, and I'm really excited to be friends with Trey Parker as CEOs moving into the future. We're really at a historical time for Earth, and it's kind of a scary turbulence. And I know it's like, don't be a numbskull. Like, and Trey, don't be scared to feel things. And so it's really important that Trey continues to be like alive, like emotionally. And I know that I Trey's like, oh, I'm fine. You know, we had a big release party, and no, do. I'm not saying that you should like start lashing yourself or whatever. But the stress you feel here isn't an indication that this isn't good business or that humanity doesn't want this. I think humanity does want Hatch, and you guys need to do this in August. Please don't wait longer, even though that's your supposed method, because this is it. I need to produce Hatch. Please. Oh, I'm just. Oh, thank you. Merry Christmas. I'm not really saying the magic words, am I? Trey, you must say the magic words. You, all right? You need to do this. You need to take charge, Trey, and say, let's help Hatch get into a real motion capture studio. And he's going to really reach people and bring around environmental solutions. And it begins with the identity and it completes with a physical restoration of our environment. And also, I'll have parties where we're encouraging and employing people to do environmental things. Okay? All right. Thank you guys very much. I am the wolf. The lone wolf. Perfect design. Let your internal wizards be excited. I know what's going on, and it is the reward for my technology. They have a soul also. The correct intensity, yes. We align completion. Be the first blue-eyed angel to pierce the veil of the system of the down, the false social codec, and the false interpretation for, I suppose you guys were behaving like we didn't know that we were getting shot at. So we thought that everything that was happening was completely natural. But we need to pierce the thing about with Hatch, and we need to go, okay, producing Hatch in August. 55 Putney Road land acquisition. And we get the motion capture equipment, and that is actually not too expensive. It's really about the leap about, do we employ the computers? Do we allow Hatch to have his own computer rendering, or do we step that in? That part is a variable because people essentially, my workers will be working from home to begin with, and so the idea of, but it's just like, then you're, all right, you guys know. But we can go that way, and the Vampire King says thank you. We want to make family with you, Trey, and we appreciate and we respect. You know, we want to be antiviral lock for you guys. We want to help your health, but then when you guys sabotage our progress, we're like, you guys, that's gonna hurt. If you prevent the CO2 solution, it's gonna flatline your thing. Oh, are you threatening us? No, 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 we're not. But it would mean that you're responsible for the. Okay, you guys, there's okay. So we're Hatch is doing the best he can for all of that and all that. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Armor up from within. Earth True says that's tasty. Merry Christmas.